Beloveds, and welcome back to another video. So today is July 4th. I'm not working today. Well, I'm doing a little bit of work, but instead of work for clients, it's more like kind of beloved work because my grant writing module is coming up. Well, my grant writing module is live. If you don't know, the link will be somewhere in the bottom of this video. You can now watch the recordings of the live training sessions, which is basically just me with a PowerPoint or some type of presentation talking about each lesson a bit more in depth, and then also having a question and answer portion, because I feel like when it comes to grants, people have more questions than anything because most people are extremely new to the process, and so they're coming in wanting to know, what is grant writing, how do I do it, what are some of your best practices, and those things like that. But while I'm talking about grant writing, I'm also making a, what's it called? A plum and cherry simple syrup for my coffee, because last night I was thinking about coffee and I was like, I really want a nice syrup to like coincide with this really delicious coffee that I have. And so instead I was thinking, so long thought process here. So I was thinking about how I bought wine recently. I bought the Snoop Dogg 19 Crimes Cali red wine, which is not necessarily my favorite. It's just really, it's not as if it's like too dry or anything. It's actually like a nice type of wine, but I don't love it. But I was thinking about about making a mulled wine out of that wine, because if a wine ends up being, a red wine ends up not being like my favorite to drink, I'll just make it into a spiced wine and drink it warm, like, and pretend that it's fall, because it's not fall. It's 100 degrees here in Texas. But I was thinking about mulled wine, and then I was like, ooh, mulled wine and coffee would be nice. And then I was like, ooh, I don't really want alcohol in my coffee. And so instead, I was like, I can just make a dark cherry plum syrup to go into my coffee to kind of accent and recreate the flavor that I'm thinking of in my head, if that makes sense. But this is the plum. It's absolutely gorgeous. And these are my cherries. They're just so pretty. But yeah, so we're gonna make a cherry and plum simple syrup and make some coffee and see how that tastes. In this video, I'm just gonna show you a day in my life of what I do when I'm not actively writing grants. And so I'm in the middle of developing a newsletter to go out today to announce the live training sessions for the module. And then I will be creating the PowerPoint for the module, which I'm very excited about. I still don't think it has hit me that I'm doing a live session and that I'm teaching grant writing, because one of the things, I'm not a big fan of like online courses, because I felt like at one point in social media, people were creating these courses and not really offering anything of substance. And so people were shelling out large amounts of money to take an online course to help them leave their 9-to-5. But then in the weird videos, this is the cherry on the inside. It's so pretty. But in the videos, or in the, I guess their ads, sponsored ads on Instagram and Facebook, they never really described what their courses were for. And so as a content creator and as someone who was actively creating online content, I told myself, I'd never do courses, because unless I had something solid to offer, I wasn't just going to create a course to make money because I know people want to do grant writing. The goal is never to, like, obviously, yes, the goal is to make money. We live in a society where money is how we, live and operate and buy things. It shouldn't be that way, but it is. But my goal is also not to just make a bunch of money off of people who really want to learn a skill that is helpful. And that's one of the things is, for me, everything I've learned about grant writing, minus the college course that I paid for, or that my student loans paid for, it's been free. The knowledge is free. Like, anyone can become a volunteer grant writer and gain the same experience that I have and not have to shell out $600 or $700 to, get certified. And I do think, obviously, things that are worth doing are worth payment. But I know that there are a lot of things that exist in the world that are designed to just kind of take people's money and not actually help them with the skills they want to learn. And so if I ever create a course, my goal is to offer content that is fun and exciting to engage with, and at the same time, it offers value to the person who is choosing to pay for this online course. And so I say all of that to say, to be in a space where I'm able to work with Weave the Social Fabric and create this grant writing course for free is it's very exciting for me. And as I said when I was being interviewed to talk about the module for the newsletter that they sent out, one of the things that I said is my goal is to never gatekeep this information. I think in a world where everyone is trying to become social media moguls and content creators and influencers, there's a lot of gatekeeping of information that can help people, be on the right path. My goal is not to gatekeep information from nonprofits and people interested in this information. I do think if I were to do a course, obviously the entire course would not be free, but I've always felt a way about online courses for some reason. I always felt like they were scams and that people were just trying to take people's money. Because it would always be like, do you want to blog full time? Take my course and learn how to blog full time. And the entire time it's just basically them talking about affiliate links and how you just add affiliate links to your blog, which doesn't always help unless you are doing SEO and pulling and driving traffic to your blog so that people can click on those links, and that's how you make money. And so a lot of these things don't tell you what you need to know right off the bat until you pay for what they're asking you to pay for, which I don't always think is necessary. And so that's how I feel about grant writing, is that there's a wealth of information that already exists in the world that is free. Like right now, if a person wanted to learn how to grant write, there's a wealth of content, there's a wealth of bloggers, there's a wealth of volunteer grant writing opportunities that people can engage in without having to shell out $1,000. And there's even like mentoring programs that I've come across that are like $3,000 for a year, and they allow you to pay monthly. And I think mentorship programs are a little bit different, but in terms of, I guess, learning how to price what you're worth and all of these different things, I think it's important and it matters, especially when people with integrity are charging what they should charge. And it's just a little tiny rant on grant writing. If you're a big coffee or latte, matcha drinker, I think making your own simple syrups is like the best way to go, because like, for example, I love lavender syrup. It's like my favorite. I just, a good lavender latte is like the best. It's the best. But there was one lavender syrup that I was buying. I think it was a French brand. I don't think it was actually from France, but the brand was in French. And, well, they say made in France on the bottle, but a lot of things say that doesn't make it true. But, the syrups had, to make the purple color, they were using, what makes purple? Red and yellow, I think. They were using dye, like yellow dye, and I think red dye to make the purple color. And then, and so for all of my girlies out there who do cycle syncing in terms of the foods that you eat, what ended up happening with me with the simple syrups is they started creating pain in like my breast area around the time of my cycle. And so I started getting really odd pain that was kind of freaking me out, and I didn't know what was going on. And my mom was like, that sugar and things can affect, they can affect your hormones around, PMS time. So I did some research because my mom was like, just do some research. Started researching it, and literally sugar can heighten, especially processed sugar, can heighten the effects of PMS. And so I did a little test with myself. I started paying attention to how much syrup I was putting in my coffee, my lattes, my matcha, my anything. And so I would notice around the time that I started like paying attention to my foods around my cycle, the pain would start happening again. And I was like, this is really weird. So what I did was I bought lavender petals and I started making lavender syrup at home, and started making cherry syrup and cinnamon syrup, just making my own syrups with pure cane sugar, so unrefined sugar, or maple syrup, or even honey. and the pain went away. And so that's just a random aside of why I make my own coffee syrups. So later today, I started working on my grant writing module lesson for the week. So this lesson was the very first lesson for the grant writing course, which is free and available online for your viewing pleasure. And at this point, I was building the presentation as well as working on kind of the vocal like lesson plan of what I would be teaching online that night. And as of now, it is currently September that I am filming this voiceover, so the live sessions are done, the module is complete, and you can view all of the lessons as well as the live recorded sessions and the questions that others answered and start your grant writing journey from there. I love how even though this is Cozy Solo Diaries, I am still talking about grant writing. But yeah, I'm just making tea, finalizing my lesson plan, and going from there. It's a very chill 4th of July, which I actually haven't celebrated for the last 6 years, actually. And that's a story for a whole other time for a very different kind of vlog and YouTube video. Make sure to check out the description box and you can take my grant writing course, which is completely free. All materials, all downloadable PDFs, as well as the live training sessions, which were recorded, you have access to. And so if you're interested in grant writing, which I've had people DM me on Instagram and ask if I have resources available, that grant writing course is my most valuable and expansive resource currently for people interested in getting started with writing grants. Today is July 8th and I am in the middle of making coffee. If you don't know at this point with my vlogs, on most days I start my days with coffee. So I am making coffee in my $5 Moka pot that I got from Amazon like 4-ish years ago, and it's still going strong. I love it so much. I did recently have to replace it though because I dropped the filter basket in my garbage disposal and I didn't know it was there, and I turned it on and it literally destroyed it. And so I had to buy another Moka pot on Amazon, but I still have the original one in the video. But if you are unaware, I am in the middle of drafting a middle grade mystery novel because about a year ago or two, my niece asked me to draft a story for her. So as a self-published author, I am in the middle of drafting this beautiful mystery novel for my niece that I am using a Goosebumps novel as kind of my goalpost, which a Goosebumps novel by R.L. Stine is around 20,000 words and a little under 120-ish pages, and so that's kind of what I'm basing my novel off of. As of the day I am filming this voiceover, which is September 21st, I am about 11,000 words in, and I am halfway towards my goal of 20,000 words and hopefully finalizing this novel in a very beautiful way so that I can take the next 30-ish days and edit and then post the bad boy. I already have a cover designed and everything, and I'm so excited about this. For me personally, writing novels has been very difficult because I got very self-conscious. Poetry was very easy for me and sometimes still is, even though I started writing stories actually before I started writing poetry. And so I have multiple drafts of novels on my laptop. I've started novels by hand, but I had never finished a novel. So when my niece asked me about this, I was I was very nervous and kind of like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I'll be able to get past my own self-doubt to create this beautiful thing that she's asked me to do for her, because she knows that I write but has no idea about the self-doubt and, you know, what I've experienced in believing in myself as someone who creates fiction and tells stories and builds worlds. And so it's been a trying experience, but I am so excited, and I believe it's going to be so worth it in the end, and honestly, my niece is pushing me to finish a novel for the first time in my life. So shout out to my niece and honestly all of my nieces and nephews, because they have been such a propeller for me in my creativity, because I have always wanted to be the best example to them, to let them know that they can be creative as well, and they can travel, and they can have beautiful and wonderful lives. And so yeah, they're awesome and I love them so much. But if you've made it this far in the video, thank you. I cannot wait to share more about a couple of life updates that I have, as well as some new creative updates as well. If you haven't already, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to be a part of the Beloved community. And as always, stay creative, Beloveds. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video.